New fallout from Steve Bannon's plan to unseat GOP incumbents running for re-election to Congress, with Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell blasting the former White House chief strategist, saying he and others backing the plan are specialists at nominating people who lose.
The kind of people that are supported by the element that you've just been referring to are specialists in defeating Republican candidates in November. And that's what this inter-party skirmish is about. Our goal is to nominate people in the primaries next year who can actually win, and the people who win will be the ones who enact the president's agenda.
Ooh, sick burn. All right, joining us now is Richard Fowler, radio talk show host and Fox News contributor. We also have Kevin McCullough, conservative syndicated radio host at Salem Media. Thanks to both of you for joining us.
Good to be here, Melissa.
So what do you think, Kevin? Is he right? Is McConnell right?
McConnell's this much right, and he's this much wrong. You've got a very clear understanding that the strategy is you've got to get Republicans that can win in November. He always likes to rattle off 3 or 4 names that didn't do very well in past cycles. The problem is his Senate is packed with people that defied his own strategy. Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, Marco Rubio, Ben Sasse, Mike Lee. These were all people that McConnell worked against, and they are now the future, the young guys, the stable of the future Republican Senate. He's this much right, but he's this much wrong.
Right, because, Richard, if they do get past, the primary opposition, they are that much stronger, and you end up with a very strong candidate if they happen to win. Do you agree with that? I mean, that's basically what Kevin said.
Well, I think the Republican Party is going through this interesting conundrum right now because you have the Republican voters in 2016, and I think recently, a couple weeks ago in Alabama, have made it clear that Steve Bannon and Donald Trump are the head of their party. They did it in the primary election by knocking out the other couple dozen, almost a dozen contenders and saying that Donald Trump is the party. Donald Trump picked Steve Bannon as the chairman of his campaign. These individuals have taken their party forward. In Alabama, they elected Roy Moore as their nominee for the Senate race there. So it's very clear that Steve Bannon is the head of this party, and Donald Trump is also the leader of this party, and they're the ones that's going to take it forward. And Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan are on the back burner, or as Donald Trump would say, they are the swamp.
Yeah. I mean, Kevin, I don't know if they're the head of the party because I'm not sure that the president would identify himself entirely as leader of Republicans. I want to be. I mean, he's sort of identifies himself as almost independent, sort of against the swamp. And that's what a lot of the appeal is. So I'm just wondering, from what Richard said, is this the direction of the Republicans, or is this a different group?
Well, McConnell's up against a tough job, right? He's got to hold all of his seats in 2018. And one of the smart things he did in the Alabama race was to go get Trump to endorse his guy. The problem was this all started with the Tea Party. The Tea Party was the impetus that gave us the drain the swamp mentality.
Yeah.
And the most popular senators in the United States Senate all came from the Tea Party. 3 of them ran for president. 2 of them have been talked about for future Supreme Court places. I mean, you're talking about the future of a vibrant Republican Party that is based on these conservative ideas. They don't embrace all the fringe stuff that some of the people associate with them, but they are the core base of the party. And McConnell needs a winner, but he needs to win with the best conservative possible. So he's this much right and this much wrong.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that sort of speaks to a larger problem that Mitch McConnell will then have, right? Is the farther this party moves to the right, the harder Mitch McConnell has at governing his caucus. So what you have in the Republican caucus now is a group of senators
but Richard,
who are very much...
Let me stop you, because I don't know how much further right it truly is. I mean, if you look at a lot of the things that the president is talking about, whether it's DACA or it's tax cuts that are for the middle class, and if you do the math as we know it to be now, and who knows what it'll be like in the end, are not generous to the top. I mean, it seems like it's more about hating the establishment or draining the swamp. It's not about further right, and there are Democrats who also, that's the common thread. We hate what's been going on. We just want not these same old Washington people.
Well, I think the proof is in the pudding, Melissa. Look at, repeal and replace, which is very much an ideology of the far right. And when Donald Trump put those bills on the floor, it was moderate senators who said, we're going to vote against these type of bills. So what Steve Bannon is advocating for is a policy that would primary those individuals, people like Jeff Flake from Arizona, people like Susan Collins from Maine, people like Lisa Murkowski from Alaska. And so when you move to the right of those individuals, you get a farther right caucus.
Richard,
and Mitch McConnell has a problem managing leveraging the center. So when you move the party to the right to get those type of agenda deals passed, what Mitch McConnell is saying is you have a problem winning the overall statewide races. But Bannon is in charge of the party.
This might be the problem that Democrats are having right now, interpreting it as far right rather than seeing it as small government, which is different. But it's okay. A debate for another time. Love you both. You'll both be back. Thank you.